What up, YouTube? Y'all already know Big Lou tapping back in. One more again. What it do with Big Lou and MZR2? Baby. So check it out, man. This shit highly bothers me, right? We got a fellow veteran and Senator of Ohio, J.D. Vance, who is vice president nominee nominee for the Republican Party, who served honorably in the Marines, right? The USMC, hoorah, right? I think he did 4 years, right? He was a correspondent, uh, and he did get deployed to Iraq. But let's make something clear, right? Because I wouldn't even normally say this, but I'm going to say this because the fact that this man is trying to just, trying to smear and taint another veteran, a fellow veteran, which is, yeah, okay. You always hear the arguing back and forth with Army versus Marines, that type of stuff. But that's more done in friendly brotherhood type deals, right? This right here is just blatant attacks, right? Which, yeah, there's no merits for it, right? So J.D. Vance served 4 years in the U.S. Marine Corps, right? He went to Iraq for 6 months. He was a correspondent, meaning I think he wrote for Stars and Stripes, which he would write stories about Marines, maybe units, maybe commanders, maybe different officers, different soldiers. He would write articles, right? And he was a correspondent, so he was like like he worked for the CNN or MSNBC or Fox, but it actually was the United States Marine Corps, which is if I'm correct, the United States Marine Corps is a branch off the U.S. Navy, right? So when Marines are transported, when they're being deployed or going to a certain location, especially if it's on water, they're transported by the Navy, right? Now, I'm not claiming to be a historian or a expert on the military. I'm not. Don't get me wrong. So that's why I said that more than I'm pretty sure, but I'm not. If I'm not, then correct me. I know that jive ass FJB who likes to dip in and out of the channel every now and then to talk shit, right? He'll try to correct me if I'm wrong, which even if I ain't wrong, he'll still try to correct me, which he's a jive ass turkey, a coward like he is anyways. You know what I'm saying? Anyways, so you got this Marine, right, who, like I said, is attacking the current governor of Minnesota, Tim Walz, who is Vice President Kamala Harris's pick for vice president. Damn, dude. And this is very unheard of, especially when you're making it like this, national news. You're trying to, you're claiming that the dude's got stolen valor, and then secondly, you're blaming, you're saying that he was a coward and bailed out on his unit just before being deployed to Afghanistan or Iraq. I'm not sure what war zone. We'll just put it like that. Then you're trying to say that he lied when he said that he carried weapons of war. You're saying that he lied. He never was in a combat zone. Which, if you listen to what he said, I mean, yeah, you can say he misspoke, or you can just say that's not what he meant. Because I heard it many times over. The man was deployed to Italy and Europe during the Afghanistan war, right? So he was over there. Okay, he was over there. He was over there overseas, right? And it was Operation I forgot what it's called, Freedom and something. Uh, Operation Freedom, Enduring Freedom. Excuse me, Operation Enduring Freedom. He was deployed to Italy and Afghanistan. Okay, I mean, Italy for the what was going on in Afghanistan. Um, this man served 24 years. 24 years, 6 times the amount of J.D. Vance and most Americans. And I believe the Marine Corps, you can go in at only 2 years. I think at one point they might have changed it 2 or 3 years, and then most of the other military branches is 4 years, right? When you originally go in, I'm not sure about after your duty's up. If you want to re-enlist, if it's always 4 years or not. But I believe so, because you figure if you go at a number like 24, that's six duties, right? Six re 5 resign, re-enlisting, excuse me, or So let's just go over some of the wars that. Okay, so like I said, he's currently the governor of Minnesota, Tim Walz. He's the nominee for the vice president on the Democratic ticket. Okay, his military job description: he was the command sergeant major, but he retired as a master sergeant, excuse me, because for the fact is, when you get promoted and you retire, you have to have 3 years with that command before, excuse me, what's the best way to put it? So, in other words, he went from a master sergeant to a command sergeant major. He had to have 3 years as that rank, command sergeant major, in order for him to retire as a command sergeant major. So that's why he retired as a master sergeant. Okay, 24 years in the Army National Guard. So okay, that's what he served. He was the highest rank attained. He was an E9, which that's not easy to become, right? He joined in 1984 Nebraska's National Guard. After 2 days after his 17th birthday, in 1996, his wife Gwen and him moved to Minnesota, and he transferred to the Minnesota National Guard, where he served in the 1st Battalion, 125th Field Artillery. While serving in Minnesota, his MOS, military occupational specialty, was a 13B A cannon crew member, right? Um, who operates and maintains cannons, and a 13Z Field Artillery Senior Sergeant, according to a statement released by Army Lieutenant Colonel Kristen Aj, the Minnesota National Guard State Public Affairs Officer. Okay, so that's, I mean, come on, what are they doing? They're lying for him purposely. They're lying for him. She must be a Democrat, and they're lying for him. It's just total nonsense. How everybody lies. Everything's rigged. Everything's set up for Trump to lose. Everything's this. Everything's that. Even the Republican people, 40 out of 44, are not. Uh, 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 um, 40 out of 44 of his ex-cabinet members and people that work for him on senior levels are supporting him and endorsing him this time. So that means, according to these Trump people, that all of them are just full of it. All the judges that threw the cases out were full of it in the 2020 election. They're all full of it. Everybody's full of it. Pence is full of it. Bill Barr is full of it. They're all full of it because Donald Trump tells the truth and he's always honest. Speaking of Donald Trump, you got a jackass that ran 5 deferments, ran 5 times, and he got his his daddy, because he was a rich man, right? That's who Trump got all his money from. Trump didn't make none of his money himself. Not the original 400 or 500 million, right? He likes to tell the lie that he was given a $1 million loan from his father, and he turned that million into becoming a billionaire, a self-made guy. Get the fuck out of here, you lying son of a. Right? It's just the constant lies, man. It's like it don't matter what he says, he's telling the truth. It don't matter what he gets caught on tape saying, that's not real. Everything's not real. I mean, damn, this guy got to be one of the most at the same time being a dodo bird, because he always opens his big mouth that he can never keep closed, because he always like to brag about himself. He's the best, the greatest, perfect. Everything about him is perfect. Him and his company, right? To also being a supposedly, because he went to Wharton, I don't know how to pronounce it right, Wharton, I think it's called something school of business, right? Some guy made a video the other day. Oh, Kamala went to Hastings Law School, which is like 47th out of, uh, you know, ranked it real bad, right? She failed her bar exam the first time, right? She's never owned a company or even had an employees under her. Well, that's a damn lie, because she ran the district attorney's office in San Francisco. That means everybody in that office is under her. Then she became the attorney general of California, which is the second biggest justice department in the United States after the United States, right? And she had all them employees under her. So she's had employees under her. She didn't own the company, obviously. It belongs to the people, but she knows, she ran things. She knows how to manage things. You know what I'm saying? United States Senator. She had all those people under her working for her, right? Um, you know, then the guy goes on to say, "Oh, Donald Trump graduated from Wharton Business School. It's #1 out of this and that." I mean, what does that got to do with the price of rice in China, homie? You know what I'm saying? Nothing. It got nothing to do with nothing. Period. Right? Because just because you went to a good school, because that's what your daddy paid to put you in. You know what I'm saying? And he probably paid to get grades too, because that's why this jive ass turkey won't show his grades from high school or college at all. He just brags about it, right? He talks about he aced the cognitive test and then he even took a second one. Why would you have to take a second one, right? If you're so upstairs and sharp and you aced the first one, why would you possibly have to take a second one, right? And now you're talking about you'll take a third one. Why? Everybody, I mean, I'll tell you why. Because first of all, you're full of crap. Second of all, everybody can see all the slips and misspeaking and confusing people and confusing timelines and dates and saying World War II when World War II was 100 years ago. It's almost 100 years ago, 80 some years ago, 80 years ago, whatever. And now you're confusing two old black guys that are from California, you know, with each other, and it's just strange. It's awfully strange behavior, and it's getting more weirder as we go, right? Um, but you're talking about a guy, that had his daddy pay a doctor to say he had bone spurs. He can't remember what foot he had the bone spurs. And to be frank, if you have bone spurs then, you'll still have some issues now, right? But it just goes to show you how much of a big time liar this fool is, right? That's all. Okay, so he back to Tim Walz, Governor Tim Walz. He won the Army Commendation Medal. He's got the Army Achievement Medal twice. He's got the Army Reserve Components Achievement Medal twice. He's got the National Defense Service Medal twice. He's got the Global War on Terror Service Medal. He's got the Armed Forces Reserve Medal 5 times. He's the NCO Professional Development Ribbon. He has the NCO Professional Development Ribbon. NCO stands for Non-Commissioned Officer, right? He's got the Army Service Ribbon. He's a Reserve Components Overseas Training Ribbons 4 times, right? Um, Compared to Junior Senator of Ohio, J.D. Vance. Job description, he was a correspondent. 4 years of service in the USMC, highest rank attained, E4, a corporal, right? So that's the thing with Tim Walz. He's an everyday normal guy. He, this is the first time ever on a presidential ticket that if the person had any service, it was a non-commissioned officer, right? The last few ones, been John Kerry, been George W. Bush, Al Gore. These guys all had rank, captains and colonels, and everything else. John McCain was a captain in the Air Force. In the Navy. You know what I mean? So this is the first thing. This means a lot, right? It just shows that he's a blue collar, everyday, hardworking and American. Plain and simple. He grew up on a farm in Nebraska. You know what I'm saying? Joined the military 2 days after his 17th birthday, like I already said. His dad was a Korean War veteran. You know what I mean? So let me tell you. So they're accusing him of stolen valor. Okay, stolen valor is a federal misdemeanor, right? And if convicted, you could be looking at 6 months in jail, unless it's regarding a Medal of Honor, in which you could be looking at a year imprisonment if convicted. Okay, this is the definition of stolen valor. It is essentially a lie. It involves falsely claiming military service, rank, recognition, or even someone else's identity. Okay, so he's not using somebody else's identity. Recognition, 24 years in the service. I just went all over his medals. I told you what his job was, his MOS, what his rank was when he retired, and what they retired him as. I told you what he did as far as in artillery and all that. He was in the 1st Battalion, 125th Field Artillery, right, unit. He was deployed to Italy after the 9/11, right? So he's not he's not violating that. Rank, not violating that. I just said also what I just said. Uh, Military service, not violating that either, right? It's just a crock of shit how they're doing this, man. 24 years of service. Now, originally I heard, they say that you can retire after 20 with the full retirement, right? Well, he put in 24, but then I heard more stories, and I think it was Congressman Murphy, who was his roommate when they first came into Congress together in 05, I think it was. And he said, and I didn't know this. This is the first time I heard this said, and maybe it was said from him because they were more intimate. They lived together, right? Two veterans. Congressman Murphy said that Walls had retired at 20, and then 9/11 happened. Because remember, he went in 1981, so September 9/11 is 2001. That's 20 years. So the math is adding up, and that he relisted after what happened to 9/11. Okay, and then so let me read this. So uh, average term for Americans are 4 years. He did 24 years. He filed in February. He filed with the FEC, which is the Federal Elections Committee, right? In February of 2005 to run for Congress. In March of 2005, it was brought up as a potential possibility of his squad being deployed to Iraq. Okay, it wasn't definite, it was a possibility. He retired in May of '05. Okay, and then July of '05, the battalion was notified they were going to be deployed, but were still deployed even months later. His battalion was actually deployed on or around 2 or 3 months after that, I believe, because they were notified they were going to be deployed in July, and then they end up leaving, I think, August or September. Uh, he was deployed to Europe and Turkey for Operation Enduring Freedom, like I mentioned, tied directly to Afghanistan, where he was with the security mission. Um, so it's kind of ironic that somebody would retire, come back for 4 more years, and then retire for a second time, and then have shit talked about him. You know what I'm saying? Like, and this is another thing. If he really deserted his battalion, his squad, his brother, and they really needed him like that, you think the United States Army would allow him to retire? No, they wouldn't. They would tell him, no, it's not the right time. We need you, right? We need you, and that was not the case, right? Because he would still been in there for a while longer, and he would have been deployed. Okay, he had other ambitions and other things he wanted to do in life, like move on into the Congress. He already filed with the FEC, like I mentioned, in February, right? So he was sworn in as a representative of Minnesota's first congressional district, which is a southern Minnesota border, which is near the border of Iowa state line. It was a tough Republican held seat for a long time, and this man held that seat for five terms, 5 or 6 terms. Um, and he fought hard for veterans and mental health. He was the ranking member of the Veterans Affairs Committee in the House. Bills for veterans, sponsored or co-sponsored by, at that time, Congressman Walls, which was bills for veterans. Which was a service member mental health Review Act, the Clay Hunt Suicide Prevention for American Veterans Act, the Fairness for Veterans Act of 2016, and the Harry W. Colmary Veterans Educational Assistance Act of 2017, Forever GI Bill, right? Um, so this dude has had a long career of serving his country honorably, right? Um, this is a very unprecedented thing right here. They've been bringing up the Swift boat accusations back in '04 of John Kerry, the same individual in that was part of the George Bush campaign, is the same guy involved with the current campaign of Donald Trump, Chris LaCivita. And he should be, I know he's doing his job, but man, it just shouldn't be allowed that you can just flat out come out and lie like that. You know, um, this guy, this guy was a teacher, social teacher. He was a football coach, assistant on the defense. You know what I'm saying? He stood up for his kids in his class and students at the school. You know what I'm saying? Just because a kid is gay, you might not agree with how he feels, what he says, how he lives his life, or she lives her life, but downright, it's really none of your damn business, like he says, right? it doesn't deter the fact that there are U.S. citizens, right? It doesn't. So I mean, what does that mean now? Because the way they live their life, uh, you don't agree with, they're second class citizens. Their vote doesn't count the same, because that's how I'm taking it, right? Um, they're hitting them. So he created this little some type of deal for the kids in the school, right? Which what are they supposed to do as a teacher? They're bounded. They're supposed to, not only teach the kids, but they're supposed to have protection over the kids as a guardian somewhat while kids are at school. They're responsible for those kids while they're at school. So if he knows people are getting bullied, kids are getting bullied because of their alternative lifestyle or the way they talk or whatever it is, it's not right for him to stand up to tell them, stand up for them kids. I mean, you're talking about kids, children. They're underage, right? They're not adults. I'm not here to judge them what they do in their life. Not at all. You know what I'm saying? And it's not to say that I agree with what they do. That's beside the point. It has nothing to do with that. The fact is, they're United States American citizens, and that's it. That's all that needs to be known, right? Um, Therefore, when their voices count. You know what I'm saying? Simple as that. Um, now they're talking. Now they're going at him, talking about calling him Tampon Tim, which that's already been debunked. There's no tampons in the boys' bathroom. You know what I'm saying? It was in a unisex bathroom that's used by both genders. And then they had some, like, I think it was in the office, somewhere in the office. They've already went there and debunked that already too. So, and that's another thing that's weird. Like, what, it's not okay for the schools to provide that for students, for the female students. Um, I've been seeing that here in California since I was a little kid. Little kid. I'm in my mid 40s now. You know what I'm saying? So I don't understand that either. I guess we're just way too to the left over here. You know what I'm saying? Just like the lunch programs. That's been going on forever since I was a little kid. We only got lunch though. We didn't get breakfast and lunch. Now that's what they're doing. But that's left. That's progressive. Have workers' rights is progressive. You know what I'm saying? Sick pay leave is progressive. It's too far left. You know what I'm saying? The only thing that they can say that he's left and progressive on would be the LGBTQ plus thing he did. Um, and that's it. You know what I'm saying? Out of all the other things, that's the thing you point to and say he's way left, he's way radical. I mean, and again, like I said, they're still U.S. citizens. You know what I'm saying? They still count. You know what I'm saying? They still are people. I mean, you don't have to agree with their lifestyle. That's not for you. That's not for you to make the decision about. Like I said before, if that's between them and God, and personal relationship between them. And if whatever God, however God decides to handle that, that's between him and that person, and that's all there is to it. You know what I'm saying? But I think it's disgusting for JD Vance. And that's another thing about JD Vance too. No matter what's said, that Donald Trump said this, they said they asked Donald Trump about being weird. Oh, they weren't talking about me. They were talking about JD. And you just sit there and shake your head and shake it off because there ain't nothing you could do about it, right? You won't even speak out against it. You won't even, whatever he said, you just yes sir him to death, like Elon Musk did last night. You know what I mean? It's just yes sir and a lunatic, right? That's all about himself. It's crazy. Remember, this is the guy that on 5 deferments he got out of going to Vietnam, and then he lied and tried to say he was in school. He was out of school. They proved that. The dates, come on. I mean, facts are facts. Numbers are facts, right? I don't care how you're feeling. Like some of these guys that supposedly served with Walls, they said that they felt like he deserted them. Well, that's just feelings. That's not facts, right? When you put in 24 years, that's straight facts. That's straight patriotism. You don't think he could have done a lot of other things instead of doing weekends and whenever else he had to go report to duty? You know what I'm saying? As a National Guard. You know what I mean? So, and to be frank, he shouldn't even have been. Let's keep something else real. The weapons of mass destruction over there in Iraq. Why we went over there? We shouldn't even have been over there because it didn't exist. They never found anything, right? So, and on top of that, National Guards are supposed to defend here on this soil. Depending on what state they're from, they defend that soil unless we have some type of all out something. And then, yeah, okay, I'm sure the governors will get together and come up with a game plan. But, the National Guard shouldn't even have been in Iraq, Italy, Afghanistan, any of those places, Turkey, any of those places, right? But we got George Bush and Dick Cheney to blame, to look at for that. Um, just think about all those Americans and NATO soldiers that were killed or injured badly because we spent 20 years over there for something that didn't even exist. That's pretty. That's pretty. That's pretty gnarly, man. You know what I'm saying? And with that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and tap out on this. This is already a 25-minute video. I think I hit the points I needed to hit, and I would sure like to hear back from people. And look, check this out. FJB. You know what I'm saying? Don't come over here with just bullshit. Trying to talk shit. Bring facts or shut the fuck up and keep it moving, homie. You know what I'm saying? Straight up, because you sound like the other kooks. You know what I'm saying? Like your daddy Trump and the rest of them kooks, right? It's not it's decent when you can talk to people that got actual ideas and will actually sit there and listen, and then vice versa. I listen, or whoever's in my position listens to them, and hear each other out the right way, not automatically. Oh, you're a liberal. Oh, George Soros is. Oh, and it's like when as soon as you start hitting them with facts, they start running like a crab, backing up to get away. You know what I'm saying? And it happens time in and time again. It's just it's coward shit. That's what it is. And on top of the lies upon lies upon lies upon lies that you can easily debunk, but because Donald Trump said it, it's got to be true. It's got to be the gospel. It's got to be the truth. You know what I'm saying? And it's clearly not. Time in and time again, right? He's gonna lose, and the way it's looking right now, it's probably gonna be a landslide. I mean, because he's just up here. He's always been like that. You know what I mean? He's a little looped up there, right? Um, he's you know 2016, people took a chance on him because he sounded like he was for the worker, like for the forgotten Americans, right? I mean, look what Hillary did. She didn't even go campaign in Wisconsin. She just automatically put in the bank she was going to win Wisconsin. You know what I mean? She hit Pennsylvania. I think I'm saying I'm thinking pretty good from what I can remember. Wisconsin, she didn't go to. Ohio, not too much. Michigan, not really much either. And so that's what happened. You know what I'm saying? But he proved to everybody that, from union workers' rights and their pay, he showed that he didn't give a flying F. Right? Miners, coal miners, and all them from the Rust Belt states and all those places, he didn't give a flying F about them either. Right? And he proved that all he cares about is disrespecting people, calling them names, and the wealthy, rich people. And this guy don't even pay taxes, right? They proved it when his taxes got leaked that he hasn't paid taxes in years. And then on top of that, all these rallies he does, like the one he just did in Montana, he hasn't even paid for the last time he was in Montana, and that's what he's been doing around the country. He's been stiffing everybody for the bill. So how does he love this country so much? If he's stiffing everybody for the bill, that they have to put security and close down streets and all that for rallies and for his motorcade to come through and all that. I don't know, how can he possibly say he loves America and he's stiffing Americans like he's always done? You know what I'm saying? It's ludicrous. It's ludicrous. I'm telling you. You know what I'm saying? Why sightly? Anyways, I'm gone, man.